Hello, everyone. Welcome to the preview show delivered by FedEx. I'm your host, Alan Cavana, back with us after a few weeks off from NBC, from TNT. Marty Snyder. How's life in the pits, man?
Good. It's busy. I've been very busy. I've missed the show, but excited for Daytona. This is one of my favorite weekends of the year just because I love night racing at Daytona. It's such a cool race.
Yeah, we're heading back to Daytona for what will be the halfway point in the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series season. So far, we've had 10 winners from 5 different organizations, but really when it comes down to it, it's been Team Penske versus Team Hendrick. Now, Marty, I did not include the number 4 car of Kevin Harvick.
I noticed that.
In that, because I just don't think there's too many problems so far for him to be a true championship contender. You tell me, how's the rest of the year play out?
I would disagree with that. I mean, I've talked to Kevin Harvick a lot lately and Rodney Childers, and I think, Kevin brings up some good points. They have built this team literally from scratch. New cars, new transporters, new haulers. I mean, they've done everything brand new. I think the team will be fine eventually. Yeah, the pit road problems have to stop for that 4 team. I mean, clearly they've had fast cars every week. That's got to get fixed if they're going to win a championship. But I think still, Kevin Harvick's team is the team to beat for the championship. They've brought speed every week. They can do it at any racetrack. As long as they get pit road fixed, I think they'll be okay. I think Gibbs is going to have something to say about this before it's all over with. So I think there's going to be a lot of players that come into the mix in the final 10 races. But right now, it looks like, yes, the Penske cars and the Hendrick cars are the ones you have to beat.
Yeah, and maybe Daytona can serve as something of a reset for teams like the 4 team or a lot of drivers that don't have that win yet, a lot of big names. And Daytona can serve as one of those last races that can be a wild card to get one of the smaller teams in the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup. So, Marty, 400 miles, Saturday night, restrictor plate racing. How do you think Saturday plays out?
Well, I think it's going to be very interesting. I think more than ever in February, we saw handling be an issue. We heard drivers talk about track position. We heard, them saying, I've got to handle, I've got to be out front. And I think that's going to be a big key Saturday night. That was when it was 60, 70 degrees at Daytona. It's going to be 90 at Daytona with a high humidity. I think handling is going to be huge this weekend. I was talking to one crew chief who said, if you're not going to handle right and be able to run the bottom of the racetrack, you can forget about it. You're not going to have a chance to win the race at Daytona. So I think teams have focused more than ever on making your car handle right. You're going to need the right track position. And you remember how aggressive Dale Earnhardt Jr. was in the Daytona 500. He wanted to lead. He wanted to be up front. It was
beneficial to be up front.
And that was the key because he was able to keep that track position. And I know people hate hearing track position at a restrictor plate race, and there's going to be a ton of passing Saturday night, but you're going to need to be up front if you want to have a shot to win that race because it's going to be tough to pass the leader.
All right, good points. And that brings us to this week's social pick of the week. Which previous Daytona winner has the best shot at winning this weekend? Matt Kenseth, Ryan Newman, or Greg Biffle, 3 drivers who've yet to win yet this season. You can vote at NASCAR.com/social. We want to hear from you. Marty, we want to hear from you as well. Who's winning Saturday night?
You know what? I'm going to go with Dale Earnhardt Jr. I just think it's tough to deny how much they handled in the February race. I think they're going to be very strong. I think clearly they'll have the horsepower they need, although that's certainly mitigated by the plates at Daytona. But I think it's going to come down to handling. I think Steve Letarte is brilliant at calling that type of a race, putting Junior in the right spot, and I think that's what it's going to be about. I think the Gibbs cars are going to be strong. Hendrick's going to be very strong. I think there's going to be some surprise teams as well. I think Roush will run a little bit better. So I think this certainly is an equalizing race, but I think at the end of the day, handling, I'm going to go with Junior.
I'm going with Matt Kenseth only because it's his time, and he needs to start winning. We know what he can do at Daytona. He did not lead a lap in the Daytona 500. That's the first time he hadn't led a lap at Daytona since 2011. So we know what the Gibbs cars can do. Kenseth did win one of the dual races earlier in the year. Denny Hamlin won just about everything else as Gibbs' teammate. Right. So if it's not going to be Denny Hamlin, I think it's going to be Matt Kenseth getting that first win of the year.
And it's tough not to pick Denny Hamlin because he was so dominant at Daytona. He finished second in the 500 without a spotter. He was able to drive back up through the field, won Talladega. I think they're going to be very strong, but I agree with you. I think Gibbs and Hendrick, that's what it's going to come down to me.
All right, Dale Jr., Matt Kenseth, may the best man win. Marty, thank you for joining us. Watch him on TNT, and while you watch him, log on to NASCAR.com where we'll have Race Buddy this weekend. So thank you, Marty, for joining us, and thank you for watching the preview show delivered by FedEx.